Hey everybody, I wanted to talk to you a little bit today about waiting and being in a period of waiting and being patient. And it's ironic because this is probably the third time I've done a video on this. I've just never posted it because each time I've done a video, honestly, it hasn't felt right. And so we'll see if this is the right time. So I wanted to talk about waiting and being patient. Um, a little, so my husband and I moved to Oklahoma about a year and a half ago or so. And when we moved to Oklahoma, we were very blessed with the fact that when we left Florida, we sold our house for enough to where we could pay off all our debt, buy our camper, cash outright, put a big down payment on our property and everything else. So for several months after we moved here, we actually didn't have to find a job. We were able to live off the savings we still had and do work on the property that needed to be done for us to be, in a more livable situation and everything else. And it was a huge blessing. But obviously, there did come the time where we needed to start making money. And so it was something my husband and I talked about kind of at length because prior to leaving Florida, my husband actually owned his own microgreens business and worked from home doing that and did very well with it. We actually sold the business when we left Florida. And then at the time as well, I had been working for a student travel company. Now, due to everything that happened in 2020, by January of 2021, I was laid off because, travel. And so it was one of those things where it all worked out beautifully and perfectly. And like, I know exactly why things happened the way they happened when it came to our jobs, but we needed to start working. And so we didn't know if I should get another work from home job, what we should be doing. Like, does he need to get a job like out, like within the community, that kind of thing. We were kind of at a crossroads. And at the time, my husband had a potential job opportunity. It was very kind of touch and go. It wasn't going to be full time. It was only part time. And then even then, it was only like here and there kind of deal. And so we were at the point we needed a steady income. And so, with that being said, knowing that my husband had that opportunity and it was with an excellent company, but we just kind of needed to wait for it to see how it would play out. We didn't want him to necessarily try to find another job. So we decided that I should start looking for another work from home job because done several remote work from home jobs before and it's worked out nicely. And so that's what we did. Well, I decided to start trying to apply for jobs. And it was interesting because every time I tried to apply for a job, it didn't work. My internet would stop working. Like, I would fill out the application and then my internet would stop working and somehow my application didn't get saved. I would try to use internet and I just wouldn't have any internet, period. I even tried my husband's, like, because we don't have like internet here, we just use our phones. And so I would try to use my husband's phone and it wouldn't work. Nothing was working. I could not apply to a job being at the property, period. Even though I had used the internet multiple times by that point, I just could not, the internet just wasn't working. So finally, one time I decided to go to a coffee shop in town and use their Wi-Fi. I looked it up online to see how late they were open because I'd been there like once, so I had no idea how late they were actually open. I saw that they were open online. It said till 8 o'clock at night. I'm like, perfect. Around, gosh, what was it? I think it was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon or something like that. I just got super exhausted. Like, I wasn't pregnant or anything. I just got smacked with exhaustion, like to where I couldn't physically move. And I fell asleep until almost 6 o'clock at night. And by that point, I was like, I gotta go. Like, my husband was home. Like, he was, working in the property or whatever he was doing. But I said to my husband, I was like, I gotta go. I only got a couple hours until the coffee shop closes. I really need to apply for these jobs because there's a couple jobs that, like, on paper, I made perfect sense for. And so I went to the coffee shop and I got there at 6:01. Apparently they closed at 6 o'clock. I remember being so frustrated. Now, it's a small town. The fact that Google didn't have it right wasn't surprising. But I was so mad because I had been trying to apply to these few jobs for a couple weeks at this point and hadn't been able to. And so I left and was driving home, and I remember driving near our house. I didn't go home immediately because I needed some time to cool off. But I remember driving past our house because I was going to go drive, further south from where we live and go for a drive. And I remember yelling, "God, what do you want me to do?" in the middle of my car. I'm in my car driving, and I hear, "Wait." I was like, "Ah, crud." Like, that's not my forte. That is not what I'm good at. I'm not good at waiting. And so I heard wait, clear as day. Just wait. No other words, just wait. Not wait for how long or anything, just wait. And so I drove around for a while. I came home, told my husband what happened, and told him I was told to wait. And my husband's like, "All right, well, that means that something else is going to happen." Now, shortly thereafter, my husband actually did get a job full time with a company that was kind of like not sure if they were going to hire him full time or not. But he did get a full time job, and he's been at that company ever since. And ironically, with that company, he actually has been traveling quite a bit. So, you know, it probably would not have worked out, me working full time from home and him also having a job that takes him away from the home, because we have a homestead and kids and homeschool and everything else. So, from that perspective, I understand the waiting. Here's the other thing: I had to wait because there's a whole lot of stuff that God needed to work on me with. I did a video recently, "Where do you find your worth?" That was part of it. God needed to refocus me on where I actually found my worth. There's stuff with being a mom, and honestly, I don't think I've ever fully been a stay-at-home mom. I don't think so. I've been a mom for 10 years now, almost 10 years. And I've always had a side hustle. Like, if I've been home with the kids, I've still always had a side hustle or a part-time job or something like that. Like, I've never ever fully been a stay-at-home mom. And that was something else God was working on me with, is appreciating that part of my life more. And now I do, I still like having part-time jobs. I've had actually a couple like very minor part-time jobs here and there that God's placed into my life over the last year and a half, but they've only lasted something like for a few weeks, like a few weeks, a month, 2 months, and then it was done. It wasn't anything serious. Basically, it was a little extra income when we needed a little extra income. And so I had to wait. I did actually just recently get a job that's work from home, and it works out very nicely for our family. And then I did also just start up something on my own, which I'm super excited about, which I'll share in a different video. But I truly believe that the reason God told me to wait is because there was a whole lot of stuff that he had to work on me with. And I will say that there's a lot of revelations that I've been taught basically over the last year and a half. And the reason I've been taught those things is because I was in a waiting period. I was in a period where God was literally making me stay still. I love traveling. My husband and I, with the kids, travel almost every single year since our kids have been born. We'll go on a family vacation. And we haven't done that since we moved here. My husband has never traveled for work, ever. He's always been, 9 to 5 kind of job, come home, that whole deal. He traveled for work probably 4-ish months, maybe more, out of this past year. And I'm on a homestead. Like, this is the biggest undertaking we've ever had in our entire lives. And God sends my husband away for half of it. Like, it's one of those things where there was a lot of changes going on in our lives, and a lot of things that I think God needed to teach me and show me. And there was a lot of things within my husband's work with traveling that God needed to teach and show him as well too. And that's a whole other topic. But waiting is uncomfortable. Waiting is hard. There's so much of us that wants to just control the situation and get everything taken care of in our own time and how we want it done and everything else. And we have to understand that we can't do that. We cannot try to bulldoze our way through our lives, because it is when God is in control of our lives that things will actually run the smoothest. It's when we give up that sense of control which, guys, is so hard. It's so hard, but there's been times where I've literally said to my husband, like, I can't, like, I can't even worry about things, like, things that used to always concern me. I can't even worry about them right now because I can't do anything. And this was actually in the beginning of my pregnancy where I said to my husband, like, even if I wanted to do something right now, which I kind of do, but I can't, like, I can't do anything. And so it was, one of those things where I really got God, like, sat me down and, like, held me in place and was like, you're going to learn these things because for whatever reason, I needed to learn those things for wherever he's taking me next. And I think that's the thing we have to understand, that when God puts us in a waiting period, it's not necessarily because we're in trouble or whatever. There's things he's wanting to teach us. And yeah, there's things that he smacked me pretty hard with. Like, I'm not gonna lie, there's times I'm like, oh gosh, okay, God, I get it. Like, yep, I was kind of screwing that up quite a bit. But at the same time, it is humbling to know that God loves us enough to put us in those waiting periods, to teach us the things we may need to learn, and it's going to be different for everybody, but to teach us those things we need to learn because he wants to move us on to wherever the next step is. And quite frankly, typically wherever that next step is going to be far greater or far bigger than you can imagine for what you had your life planned with. I can tell you right now the things I'm going through that I'll talk about in other videos. Never, like, never thought things like this would happen, but in a good way. And so that's kind of the gist of it, guys, is that waiting is hard, but we have to do it. When God tells us to wait or to stop moving or to be still or whatever, that is our time for him to work on us and to teach us what we need to learn and for us to really listen to him. There's something that in the Bible right now, I've been reading a lot to my girls. We're actually reading the book of Job right now, and I think it was Job 4:17, I want to say, is basically talking about being disciplined by the Father. And when Yah disciplines us, it's not because he doesn't like us or he hates us or anything like that. It's because he loves us so much. Just like parents, we discipline our children when they're being naughty or have done something they shouldn't have or whatever, because we want to teach them to be better people. We want to teach them that bad actions have repercussions, because we don't want, the minor stuff they do now as kids. If they do that, but on a heightened level when they're adults, it could be a lot worse. And so it's the same thing with God. When he is disciplining us or teaching us or showing us or making us literally stop and stay still, it's because he loves us and wants us to be better and do better and everything else. And there's probably some purpose that he has for us in the future, that we have to become whoever we need to be to go to that next step. And that's who he's teaching us to be through that waiting process. And so I just wanted to share that with you guys, that it's okay to feel uncomfortable in that time period, but you need to open yourself up. You need to be aware of his teachings and be aware of what he's trying to teach you, and then actually, like, practice that. Not just be like, okay, yeah, God, I heard you. Like, I need to work on XYZ. All right, cool. I'll do that on Monday. No, like, actually put that stuff into practice immediately, and whatever it may be. And because he may not be able to show you the next thing that you need to work on without you already working on the thing before that. And so, we we have to listen. We have to listen and obey. We may be grown-ups, but at the same time, we still have a Heavenly Father who's trying to teach us and show us and make us better. So there's that. But I'd love to hear if any of you have been put in a waiting period or anything like that as well, and what you've learned from that time period. But I definitely had some awesome life lessons during that, and we'll probably be sharing more of those in different videos. But I just wanted to share this with you guys because it's been placed really strongly in my heart that waiting periods are okay. Like, it's okay to wait. It's okay to be still. And we just have to be willing to listen to God and what he wants for us during that time period. All right, guys. Hope you have a great day.